Welcome in to Brothers Celeste, and Uruguay is eliminated. So, what we were hoping would be a at least a 5-6 part, mini series here of following Uruguay's World Cup run, the final run of Suarez, Cavani, Golí, Muslera, um, kind of like the recent golden age of Uruguayan soccer. What we were hoping would be at least a 5-6 part series here has unfortunately been cut short, and Uruguay in devastating fashion does not qualify out of the group stage.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. Absolutely
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. Obviously we're Uruguayos. We were hoping for a much better performance from La Celeste in the World Cup, and I think both my brother and I maybe a little biased, but we had higher expectations for this squad, and we're just gonna run through first and foremost our reaction to the game against Ghana, how it all transpired, what went down in the South Korea game against Portugal. We'll talk about the refs, obviously, and that situation because I do feel like Uruguay, obviously the national team, showed you how they felt after the game. Golim, Muslera, Cavani, everybody was very upset, trying to track down the officials. Um, some people would call that classless. We just call it Uruguay, and so that's not shocking that we saw that. I would like to talk about the player of the tourney as well, and then what it means for Suarez, Cavani, Golim, Muslera. Some of these guys, are lasting memories of them here. And then we'll leave Diego Alonso and his future at the very end because that's going to be short. I think we're all going to be unanimously against his return. So we'll leave that for the end. But let's talk about the game itself. Danny, the starting lineup that I told you I wanted, which was De Arrascaeta playing a 4-4-2, but really De Arrascaeta was playing more up. You get Pelistri starting on the right. You let um, Valverde and Betancourt just dominate the middle, and Suarez and as you had said, Darwin Nunez. You keep the young guy in. It was a first half. First of all, the penalty we both think was a bad call, and then Rochette comes up, makes a big save, amazing. But that first half where Uruguay is attacking, creating opportunities, that's what we wanted to see the whole World Cup. That was the best 45 minutes from the national team that we saw at this tournament, and it's no surprise that it comes from a formation that purposely is set up to go attack and try to score.
Well, absolutely, yeah, and you said it. I mean, you bring in the best number 10 in Brazil right now, Georgian Carreta, into this squad, and I mean, he basically changed everything. I mean, it goes to show you he probably should have been starting from game one, and had we had this starting lineup since game one, maybe we'd have another part in this series, and,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't have to cut it so short, but. But overall, it was a great first 45 minutes, and it's what we wanted to see out of the national team, from the start. The two young guys, Betancourt and Valverde, in the middle, controlling the middle. Unfortunately, Betancourt gets hurt, and you and I looked at each other. We were watching the game together, and you and I looked at each other as I ate my empanada de carne, and we saw Betancourt go down, and we said, "Oh no, please not Vecino.
It's gonna be
Please not
Vecino,
Vecino."
and
And
we
I
we
and,
knew
and I
it.
said, I told him, I said, I told you, maybe this could be Ugarte's moment. This could be it. And he brought in Vecino.
Yeah,
And I
you
think
knew
I
it.
think I
You knew
think
it.
that's that, I think that's kind of where it kind of turned the momentum or shift the momentum in this game.
Yeah, and let's be fair. I mean, I think uh, Uruguay felt like it was in the bag. They had a 2-0 lead. I don't think they thought there was any chance in hell South Korea was going to go and beat Portugal. Really, I feel that way because in the second half, Uruguay isn't playing with that level of intensity of a team that felt like they were knocked out. I think they really felt like it was in the bag. 1-1 over there. They don't feel like Portugal is gonna lose that lead because it's Portugal, and they just felt comfortable, and unfortunately I feel like that was the wrong approach in the second half.
Yeah,
You
well,
shouldn't have waited until the 82nd minute when you find out you're eliminated to start attacking again. I mean, that third goal, and the two penalties that aren't called, the first one against Darwin. Listen, man, like I see where the defender touches the ball, but if you're telling me the defender's toe touches the ball, but the rest of his body is taking out Darwin, to me, the idea that he got the ball there is effing ridiculous. And then the other one against Cavani, I mean, Cavani lets himself fall, but if we're playing by the rule of what's in the rule book, I mean, contact is made between the two players. Yes, does he let himself fall? Absolutely. But that doesn't take away from the fact that contact is made by a defender behind the attacker, keeping him from advancing the play. So to me, both of those are penalties. The idea that he went to VAR and could say that on the first one that it wasn't a penalty was crazy. And then the second one not to go to VAR doesn't make I don't I'm very confused by the whole process because either you're going to VAR to check possible penalties for everything or don't use VAR at all in those situations. Like why would he go for the first two, the one that ended up as a penalty for Ghana and the one that wasn't for Uruguay, and then an obvious close foul. I mean, it's not like Cavani just totally threw himself. So the idea that he doesn't even go to VAR there to me is insane. But I mean, yes, we felt like those were penalties, both of them. So, and we know about the goal that was the penalty against Portugal. So, skipping to the referees, yes, we do feel like we were hosed, and I think Uruguay feels that way as well. That also doesn't take away from the fact that, I mean, points were left on the table because of mismanagement, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanna take it back a little bit to something that you were talking about where you said that you saw Uruguay kind of sitting back in the second half, and I think we did see them sit back, and once Suarez got subbed off, you would see the camera pan over to him, and Suarez almost kind of seemed like he was kind of just chilling, sitting back on the bench, everything relaxing, almost like only thing that was missing was a mate, and everything was great. And there was about like I think like an 8 minute difference between the two games, and we were watching both games. And first of all, I do want to mention, I don't want to say Portugal gave them the game, but I do think you're tied 1-1. You're in like the second to last minute of stoppage time, and you have all your defenders going up on a corner kick. I do think that's a little bit ballsy. I guess you say you play to win the game. That's a conversation I had with a friend today, where he told me, "Hey, you play to win the game." I understand, but still, I mean, as a lifetime soccer person, you're 1-1, you're gonna probably just sit back and take the point. So I would have to say kind of a ballsy decision by Portugal.
All right,
Um,
but what I see is on that play. I mean, they get back in transition to defend. Son literally has five defenders around him, and somehow makes the absolute perfect pass to the wide open player who's now one on one against the goalie. So, and also, I mean, you're in a World Cup, and in my opinion, what are the chances you get to score in a World Cup? Everybody wants to experience that. Most players will only play in one World Cup in their life. I mean, I know Portugal stacked, so that's not the case, and Ronaldo's played in five or whatever. But most players won't get the opportunity to score in a World Cup. Portugal was trying to win that game. Period. End of story. They were attacking the entire second half. So like I don't think Portugal allows South Korea to go. I just think it doesn't matter for them. They have the group wrapped up. If they lose to South Korea, it doesn't affect them at all. Points wise, South Korea can't
right.
jump them. So you have a bunch of people on Portugal who are doing anything they can to score a goal because, you know, if you
Absolutely,
score a goal
absolutely.
in El Mundial, I mean, that's the highlight of your career.
Of course, absolutely. I understand you 100%, and that's what I'm saying. I understand, you play to win the game, and they were playing to win the game, and I
Did
understand that. I'm
Portugal,
just saying it was a little ballsy that they
yeah,
would send everybody up, with 2 minutes left. So
could
that was
Portugal
all
could
I'm saying.
Portugal have could Portugal have lended us a helping hand by
Absolutely.
playing
You know, you
to
know,
keep us in? Okay, yes, but what the hell does Portugal care about us? I mean, we eliminated them last year or last
right,
World Cup.
right. I
They
mean,
have we have no friends in this group. We had zero friends
absolutely
in this group.
zero
Zero friends
friends.
in this group. Ghana, you saw at the very end of the game, was more than content with wasting time to keep us from going to the next round
Whoa.
rather than I mean they're down 2-0 and I get it. Like the idea that they're going to score 3 goals is absurd, right? But
Well,
don't you at least try? Don't you
well,
at
I
least
read
try? I
a
mean,
report. Well, that I read a report today that one of their players, Marte, he said that his goal was, if we were going down, we were going to take them down with us.
yeah.
There was no way Uruguay was going through. So, I mean, you could see the mentality,
Which I
that these
get.
players were playing with, and I can totally get it from that, from that 2010. But get over it, man. Get over it.
No, I
Like
mean I get it, but the
like
idea that
like
there's still time left and there's still a path for you by scoring 3 goals. And yes, when there's
right,
5 minutes left in the game, you're not going to score 3 goals. But the idea that you're not even trying to score at that point just to
right,
keep Uruguay from advancing,
right,
to me
yeah,
is wild. And then I also wanted to touch on the De La Cruz free kick at the game. So listen, it's not La Cruz's fault, whatever, okay? But we've all seen the picture already of the way the wall is set up, the amount of defenders. Josema and Coates are wide open on the 18-yard box towards the far side of the goalie. The idea that we don't do a tiro libre there, to me, is crazy. But the weight of Uruguay is on Nico de la Cruz from however many yards out, when he was subbed in the game his first minutes in the tournament.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't understand that. Like, at least if it's gonna be all or nothing on that free kick, bro, Valverde, um, uh, Cavani, you know what I
Well,
mean? So,
I
so
thought I
I,
thought I thought it was gonna be a center. I think we all thought it was gonna be a center, and we all saw the guys, you know, open in the back there,
and De
as
La
soon as he
Cruz,
shot it, we were just perplexed that what he just did. We couldn't understand what he did. If they were gonna shoot, we said it should have been Valverde or Cavani, one of the two.
but by the way, I mean, I know that La Cruz is a good free kick taker. Like, that's something he's good at. I'm not bashing him specifically, but I mean, that to me goes back to Diego Alonso. I mean, you're a manager there. The idea that you're not communicating with your team, hey, we have one final play here. Let's do a tira un centro, or at least come up with something better than Nico de la Cruz, who's only playing 20 minutes of this tournament, who has given you nothing the entire tournament. And again, it's not his fault. He just wasn't given the opportunity. And that's what you go with, a De La Cruz center from that far out. I mean, a De La Cruz shot from that far out that had zero pace on it. And, I could have made the save. So,
Well, I mean,
I mean, it goes,
I can tell you, from my experience in coaching, as a former coach, you usually have a play set up with your team for a situation like that, where you have a certain free kick or something that you have a go to for that time period. So it was a little awkward the whole way that the game ended. But something that I do want to get back to, and you mentioned earlier, was the referees. And I think you kind of you said that both of the referees weren't at their top, and I think FIFA kind of said it themselves today. They sent both Fagani and Siebert home. So that tells you, and they said it for making inept errors in both their games. So I mean
so is
that
that,
that
is
goes
that confirmed though? Is that
that is
confirmed
confirmed.
though?
That is confirmed. That is
Because I saw
confirmed.
I saw the Marca article, but
I saw it
I
from
didn't see.
multiple sources. I saw it from multiple
Yeah,
sources saying that they were sent home for having inept errors in both
yeah.
both of Uruguay's
I
games. And
Bro, I'm down. I'm down to hate on the refs. Like, I'm down for it because I do think the penalty against Portugal was wrong. Period. End of story. Wrong. But I don't think that FIFA is against Uruguay. Like, I know a lot of people feel that way. I don't feel that way. I don't see how it benefits FIFA to have South Korea go through to play Brazil rather than Uruguay to go through to play Brazil. So to me, I don't think there's like some conspiracy going on. No, like, credit to South Korea first and foremost for beating Portugal. They did what they had to do. The way that they did it was nuts, and like, credit to them. Uruguay, in my opinion, the focus, we could be upset at the officials, at the refs, which I am 100%. But to me, the conversation should mostly be on the idea that in the first game you don't get any points against South Korea, and truthfully, going forward, your only two opportunities were headers, from Golin that hit the post, and then Valverde had that one shot that hit the post. But I mean, Uruguay did nothing in that game. And then against Portugal, until you're down 1-0, you don't do anything either in terms of trying to go score. This team should have come into this tournament, and we saw it in that first half against Ghana, trying to play that way from the very beginning. And had they done that, I have a really strong feeling that they would have won this group.
I
That to me should be the focus because you know, officiating is always going to suck. Like if you get hung up with refs all the time, I mean, that's soccer, that's the way it is. So
That's a
to
fair
me,
point. I mean,
the
that's a hundred. That
focus.
it's 100% a fair point. I definitely, losing out on two of the points in the first game against South Korea was definitely, I think, probably, where we lost, or where
and
where
and
the
and
downfall was for us.
and the style of play. I mean, to come out against South
Absolutely.
Korea in a World
And
Cup, Suarez and Cavani's last World Cup, and you have Valverde, Betancourt, and to not play the Arrascaeta. I mean, look what he did. Those two
yeah,
goals were nasty. I mean, Suarez set up one of them, obviously, but I mean, to waste one of Suarez's last games in a Uruguay jersey in that first game, a total waste. I mean, it was a total waste to do that, and then to start Cavani and Darwin against Portugal and play five in the back and not even try to attack. You wasted another Cavani game there. I mean,
yeah.
just truthfully, I liked Alonso coming in. I thought Inter Miami, and we both live in Miami, so we were keeping an eye on the situation. We were thrilled when he was hired. Some Uruguayan representation in the MLS in Miami. We loved it. We thought he was fairly sacked, by the way. Excuse me, unfairly sacked. We thought he was hired after they had already built the team.
Yep.
The
We
COVID
thought he
season,
deserved at least one more season. That's what we
right,
had agreed on.
right,
One more
and
season.
so it's not even like we're hating on Alonso, but what he did here, in my opinion, we can skip to it. I don't think he deserves to be back, and I'm not even like a fire the manager guy, like, but with this result, you don't get out of the group with Ghana and South Korea, and you don't pick up a point or a goal until the last game, and it's not because you tried playing attacking style football, but rather reverted to the tactics that this team clearly should have grown out of. To me, it shouldn't even be discussed. He shouldn't be allowed to coach this team as a technical moving forward.
Well, I mean, I'll give you a quick view. His contract is up as soon as Uruguay is out of the World Cup. So his contract is now up with La Asociación Uruguaya de Fútbol. I did read some reports today from some Uruguayan reporters that there were talks amongst some of the directiva inside of the AUF that they do like the job that he has done with the national team, and there have been rumors that they're going to bring him in and talk to him. But I've also seen some rumors that there's some other guys out there that I want to ask you about that really excite me. The number one name that really excites me the most is Marcelo Bielsa. I would love to see him. The other guy that I would love to see is Guillermo Almada, who has had
Right.
a fantastic season over there in Mexico, turning it around for, I believe he was coaching Cruz Azul. He turned their basically their entire season around.
Well, we can do another like once we know we can do another episode. Workshopping some names or whatever. But I mean, who knows? Who knows what the future holds? We don't even know when the next eliminatoria start. Like
It's in
we
March. Yep, starts in
so
March.
this March, this
This
upcoming
March.
March,
Yep, this upcoming March.
crazy. So I want to end here. Suarez, Cavani, Godin, Muslera. I mean, really in my lifetime, like the best era of the Uruguay national team. 4 World Cups. They, other than this one, got out of the group stage every time. A semifinal appearance. La mano de Dios with Suarez, Muslera. So many good moments with him. Obviously, Cavani against Portugal, like that one just stands out. And then Godin just being, the always the best captain that you could have, and even in this World Cup, I mean, showed us that he still had a little bit left in the tank. So, like the idea of not watching Suarez and La Celeste anymore to me is like crushing Cavani, Godin, and obviously Muslera. Like, it'll look different, it'll feel different, and I love those guys. So it sucks that this is the way that they went out.
Yeah, I mean, the first goal I ever saw in El Centenario as a fan was Godin against Chile in the eliminatorias for the 2018 World Cup. So and he's probably one of my favorite players other than Suarez. And really, they've given me the happiest memories of watching La Celeste.
Yeah.
The 2011 Copa America, probably one of the happiest memories ever. And then, every time that I've gotten a chance to watch them live has been, one of the happiest chances ever. So, I look forward to
Yeah.
seeing them soon.
Yeah. No, I mean, the idea that this is the way Suarez went out with with La Selección to me is it's just like devastating, man. It's devastating. What the opportunity that this team had to go in there and play Brazil. I don't know if they beat Brazil. I mean, Brazil's playing great right now. I know they lost or whatever, but I mean it's Brazil, Uruguay. The fact that
Anything can happen.
we were robbed from that, with Suarez, Cavani in their last World Cup ever. I mean, to me is it's hard to swallow, man. Like it's devastating. But the last thing I want to touch on here, because we're running up on 20 minutes already. Player of the tournament for Uruguay. I mean, there's a handful of guys. Could even be the Arrascaeta for the 2 goals that he scored, the only 2 goals. Um, but I think the more obvious choices would be either Valverde, Betancourt, and you can even make a case for like Matias Oliveira, who played really well. So I'll let you go first. Who was your player of the tournament for Uruguay?
My player of the tournament was Matias Oliveira. That was for me. I thought he was solid all 3 games that he played there on the left side. I thought he gave us, he was fantastic on the defensive end. He was excellent attacking with the ball. He found, the whole good holes in all 3 games, and he was able to get good crosses in. So that was my player of the tournament.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Betancourt just because I thought he showed us at times like what it meant to play La Garra, against Portugal. He was just everywhere. And then in that first half, I mean, if he could have only scored that goal against Portugal, I mean, it would have cemented his goat status in this World Cup. But it didn't go in. But Betancourt, and then bro, even Josema played really solid. Rochette played really solid at the very end against Ghana. There were a couple saves that Coates and Rochette made when Uruguay had just gone all the way up
Yeah,
and Ghana was on the counterattack. Like there were a couple moments we don't even realize, but if you go watch the last 10 minutes, I watched some of it on a reel on Twitter. It was crazy, like wide open shots, Coates coming out of nowhere to make the save,
yeah,
Rochette making one-handed diving saves. Like they came up big there, and obviously all we were worried about was getting the ball back and trying to go on the contragolpe. So we took it for granted, but I mean, there were a lot of good standout performances from Uruguay. Unfortunately, that those quality performances weren't enough when you couldn't do it together as a team. Which we know Uruguay always has to play that team style football if they want to overcome whatever whoever's in front of them. Doesn't matter if they're playing a high school team. It's always going to be difficult with Uruguay. And yeah, overall devastated. I mean, I'll tell you right now, devastated to know that South Korea is going to play in Brazil, and it's not La Celeste. So it's tough, man. Waited 4 years for that, and you know,
I
Diego,
mean, I'm
Diego Alonso. Diego
devastated.
Alonso. What the hell, bro?
Nah, I mean, yeah, I'm devastated. But I'm really looking forward to this bright young future that we have with the young kids. We have a few of the young kids, and maybe we'll have an episode coming up about that, about some of
Yeah,
the bright young studs that we could see coming up, and some of the future call ups in the future coaches era. I think that'll be an interesting show to talk about.
yeah. Maybe we'll do a couple more episodes before the end of the World Cup. We can talk about Argentina. They won today as well over the Socceroos. It wasn't easy, but they got through. Brazil and South Korea is going to be interesting. Obviously, Brazil's favored, but who knows with the way that this World Cup is going. So maybe we'll do a couple more episodes, but I think we'll keep this going, especially once the eliminatoria start. We'll do reaction videos, and we appreciate everybody who's watching. And sucks we couldn't keep going, bro. It really is a shame.
It is absolute shame, but we'll be back. This is only just a start, and you know, this is we'll see where this goes.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks again to everybody who tuned in. Feel free to follow us on social media, and obviously you could subscribe to the channel as well. For brother Celeste, disappointing end, but we appreciate it, and we'll talk to everybody very soon.
What do I know?